So somebody asked me yesterday about the Yellow Fests and about other protests that are happening across Europe, including Ireland, because this is what it was all about. Because there was protesting, Yellow Fest protest in Dublin and Cork. Dublin, the capital city of Cork, the second largest city in Ireland. And we see this across the world, across Europe, in Sweden, Denmark, Germany, Netherlands, Holland. Well, Holland the same thing as the Netherlands, but Belgium, Luxembourg, and different countries, because democracies are getting weaker. The weak democracies are weak at the core, because you can talk, like I'm doing here, you can talk about the issue, but you can't. At the end of the day, it doesn't really give any answers to an issue, and that's really the thing. In France, the government were like, we're just going to treat the people like dirt. We're going to give them fewer tax. We're going to put they have heavy taxes over there. We think we're bad now, but they have heavy taxes. So I can't believe that they could afford to pay for so long. Like the people, everybody in Europe's just really fed up with the government because they're just treating the people like dirt. Like they could just cough up money out of thin air. And that's really what the countries in Europe are starting to rebel against. Like we see in countries like Holland, like the governments are starting to get weaker because they don't know how to deal with it. If the country goes into open revolt, we see in Holland, I could see by looking at the Netherlands Prime Minister the other day, he was on the telly. You could see by looking at it, he was asked about, there was a protest in Amsterdam, you could see the fear in his eye, like you could see that they couldn't stop it if all the people in the Netherlands were fought it against the government of the Netherlands and the monarchy. And they asked him about the monarchy because the LFS in the Netherlands was not what ended the monarchy. But to be honest, maybe that's a symbol of national pride, and maybe it wouldn't be worth getting rid of, because the Netherlands monarchy has been there for years and years. But in Ireland, as everything in Ireland is nearly worse off than any other country. I know France is worse off than every other country, maybe a tiny bit worse off, but Ireland's really just broken. And that's where Ireland's spirit's just broken. Because nobody in Ireland wants to see its country go as bad as it was in 2008. Because, let's just face it, our government is weak. They talk about things, but they don't really change it. They talked about ending homelessness. They talk about reducing fossil fuels. But where's the action? The action doesn't come. But if we look at North Korea, we look at Saudi Arabia, countries that have monarchists or nationalists or communist dictatorships, they act on their things. When they say something that's going to be done, it's not going to sit around for 9 hours just talking about it. Like we see the disarming the weapons in North Korea. Like Kim Jong-un said, enough is enough, I want them disarmed, handed over to the UN and all that. But that was done in the day. And you see with the homelessness crisis and reducing fossil fuels and trying to give equal pay to nurses and all that before the crash of the Irish economy back in 2008. That's what they tried to do. But they talk about it, the governments, democracies, and including the US, they talk about things like there's a shutdown of the United States government in Congress because over a bill over the border wars. Like they're talking about it. And now it's down to give action. And the same with Northern Ireland. As people probably from around the world wouldn't know, but Stormont is a government in Northern Ireland. And Stormont hasn't been active since 2016 because Martin McGuinness, if people don't know, he used to be the first minister of Northern Ireland, but he died. And this was all because of the Cash for Arch controversy, which the DUP started. And the DUP basically, because they have a thick leader, and I don't mean in a good way, but they have a thick leader, which is Eileen Foster, who would not bow down to anybody, but until she gets what she wants, she won't move an inch. And she doesn't care if the British government collapses. She gets what she wants, she doesn't care less. But I suppose she would care if the British government collapses, so she's a unionist too. But I suppose as long as her national pride's alright, then she doesn't care less. That's purely Eileen Foster, because she won't bow down to Sinn Féin. She won't bow down to even if the Queen went and said, get into that parliament now, she'd probably say no. And that's as simple as that, because she doesn't get the thing she wants. And she'd be very upset over it. But as I said, democracies, are weak. That's what we seen in World War Two. Democracies had Nazi Germany was conquering places, the Sudetenland and Czechoslovakia. They went in there and democracies only rambled about it. They didn't give any action. Like they just sat around talking for things, and they didn't do anything. That's the thing. They let things go too far, and then, boom, it happened, and that's what really happened. But we seen when they invaded the Soviet Union, the communist dictatorship, there was a quick response. They didn't stand around waiting for America to join the war. They were like, right, this is a war. We're ready. They came into our land. Let's push them out of the land, and let's push all the way straight to Berlin. And that's what they done. They didn't sit around talking for 9 hours. Like Britain was talking and talking. They're trying to get more countries into the war. Like they were demanding Ireland to get into the war. They were demanding Portugal. They were demanding other countries to get into the war. But at the end of the day, what is more? Portugal could only probably offer 3 million extra men. Ireland could barely give probably 1 million, 500,000 at the most. Like at the end of the day, it wouldn't have stopped Nazi Germany, because it would have been just bloodletting. And what I mean by that is, because he would have just killed the whole country's people, and the United Kingdom would have got all the benefits and all the greater victory and everything. No, but I'm just saying democracies are weak. And that's really the thing. I always like democracy. I like the way, because democracy is the right way to go. There's no point having a fascist dictatorship and a communist dictatorship and killing people and murdering people and everything. It's no good. The communist or fascist dictatorships or any kind of dictatorships. Democracy is the way to go, but they are weak. Because we see across Europe, as I said, people are just fed up with the democracies and they won't do anything. And they'll take forever to get things done. Like in France, the only reason why they got rid of the fuel bill, or the fuel allowance, whatever it is, I don't know. Because the people started saying, enough, we have enough. We're going out in the street. There was a huge amount, and France basically shut down because there were so many people out in the streets. Like, that's the only reason why. Because the government felt under pressure, like the police were joining them and everything. So, and then the army probably would join them, and then there'd be a whole coup and everything, That's how you're fighting the government. That's how you move a democracy on, if you're fighting them. If you propose that the whole country goes up in arms against the government. That's the only way you're really fighting democracy, because at the end of the day, democracies don't want to fight wars. And that's as simple as that. And they're always trying to negotiate around it. And as soon as war comes or violence comes towards anything, it always moves a tiny bit onwards. But if we're talking about peace times, like in Ireland, I can't remember how long it took this sold out strikes and everything else. I remember a bus strike took nearly 4 months to nearly sold out. And that was the Transport Authority of Ireland, and they couldn't do anything. They were weak. That's basically what I'm trying to say. Because they couldn't get the men to negotiate. And they should have been just like, right, we're going to do this and we're going to do this. And if you don't start working, we have to do something. But they didn't. They just sat there and let them strike for as long as they want to, until the union came along and said, enough is enough, our workers are going to starve if we don't get them working. So, yeah, thank you for watching. Subscribe for more and bye.